Today we are super excited to talk about this jacket right here. This is the Hardline, and I'm going to go over the fit, the feel, the function, the design and utility, and everything that makes this jacket special. So let's get into it. Now, quickly brushing over the fit. Here are some specs and statistics. I am 6 feet tall at 192 pounds right now. I 99% of the time wear a US men's medium. In this case, it is no different. The medium fits me super well. My chest measurement comes in at 101 centimeters, whereas my bottom measurement comes in at 96 centimeters. Whereas the measurement of the Hardline here, as well as most of our other medium sizes, is it has a chest measurement of 110 centimeters and a bottom measurement of 104 centimeters. And generally, what we always suggest is you take your actual body measurements, like I said, 101 and 96, you add 8 centimeters to both of those, not the sleeve length, and that equals your jacket size. So the math checks out, the fit checks out, and it feels really good, despite the leather being unbroken in fully and feeling ultra stiff, but I'll get into that. So I quickly spoke about the fit. Now let's talk about the feel of this jacket, because this jacket does feel very different than just about every single thing on our lineup right now. To summarize in short, what this jacket feels like is just armor. This leather is the stiffest, most rigid leather we have right now. It is totally meant to be that way because as it breaks in over time, it is more rewarding as it literally forms to your body. And for people who just want, something casual to wear, something that's easygoing, the Hardline isn't really that. The Hardline is not really casual and easygoing when it comes to the hours you have to put in to break in this leather. This leather right here is very much different than our usual run-of-the-mill leathers. Just on a quick comparison, comparing the two style of cowhide that we offer right now is this full grain 1.5 millimeter thick semi-veg cowhide. We've been using this for a bunch of different stuff. This is the Nova. You can see that the Nova is a little bit more soft and supple just by visual appearance, not even by wearing it just yet. But obviously after wearing the Nova, I can confirm it's way more soft, way more supple, but still heavy and thick compared to the Hardline leather. So if you're used to leathers from us like this, featured on our Daytona Reload, our Nova, our Widowmaker, Jackknife, and even our High Noon leather vest, this leather is very different than this leather. And that feel of having a super stiff, rigid leather is all by design. Now, this leather might not be for everybody, but for people who are interested in having a leather that takes months and months to break in and really develop a unique patina with years down the line, because this is a teacore, I'll get into that later. But if you're interested in having something that's full veg tan and a little bit more serious of a leather, the Hardline is perfect. Again, as I said before, this is our first ever fully vegetable tanned leather, and the feel cannot be more different. Now, I've been wearing this specific Hardline for about 10 days quite casually now, and you can already see just from the front, the arms are starting to give a little bit, and you can really feel it too. When I put this jacket on the hanger at the end of the day, it still holds the shape as if I was still wearing it, which is just so impressive and indicative of just a really nice leather. Yeah, the patina, the shape on the arms is really starting to come in super nice, and it's only going to get better and better throughout the next coming weeks, but months and years. Another thing of note I'd like to quickly talk about for this jacket is the buttons. The feel of the buttons is, out of the gate, going to be somewhat tough. And again, that's all by design as well, because obviously using a thicker, stiffer leather, that's just naturally what you're going to be faced with. So we urge you that when you first get your Hardline, take it easy with the buttons. Don't go crazy on forcing them. Wear the jacket, break it in. If anything, get a Sharpie and just kind of wiggle it through the eyelet holes a little bit just to kind of loosen and start to open up these holes so that the buttons are a touch bit easier to button. Again, that's just what you get when you're dealing with a nice stiff leather, especially this veg tan leather here. But to summarize on the feel of this jacket is that it feels incredible. As you may have saw in an earlier kind of first reaction video that I did, putting this on for the first time, the damn thing was standing up by itself on the desk, and when I put it on, I remarked at it feeling like armor, and that still holds true, you know, obviously 10 days after wearing. This jacket feels great, and it's only going to feel better and better the more I wear it and the more you wear it. Well, not wearing this one's my jacket, you can wear your own. And as I've said earlier, working with leather like this has been a long time focus for us, and we're just so stoked that we made it to the finish line with the Hardline here. What a hell of a unit to roll out and introduce this brand new leather to our lineup. The next thing I'm going to talk about is the design and feature of this jacket, because there's a lot going on. Ultimately, the Hardline is arguably quite a bit of mashup through different trucker jacket styles and designs throughout history. The Type 1 spanning back to the late 1800s and even upwards to the Type 3 generally being debuted in its final form in the 1980s. Because the Type 1 debuted with vertical pleats with a horizontal stitch down, as we did here, and also on other designs like the Convoy, the Gold Rush, the Cardinal, and even the Convoy 224. Another indicative trait of a Type 1 is the cinch back buckle design and feature. On this, you can adjust the fit as you see necessary. You can either cinch it up into the swell of your lower back for a more kind of taut and tailored fit, or you can just wear it as is for the general kind of suggested fit, so to speak. Either which way, with the cinch back design, you've got a little bit of option on how your jacket can fit you. And again, this was seen on the Type 1s. Speaking of the back, we also have a couple darts on the shoulder yoke. That really provides some form of movement. When dealing with a thicker and stiffer leather like the Hardline here, you really need a fighting chance to move. So with these shoulder darts, it allows you to roll your shoulders a little bit more, not only at the beginning of the break-in process, but all the way through the entire life of the jacket. So I guess arguably with a Type 2 reference that we did for our trucker jackets, it's still in the vertical pleats as well as, I guess, 2 pockets. So with a Type 2, you get vertical pleats, you get 2 chest pockets, whereas originally through history, they were kind of more mid in the body section. And instead of the cinch back design with a traditional Type 2, you're left with side adjuster buttons, which obviously we don't have because we opted for the cinch back design. And then ultimately arriving in, let's just say the 80s, the Type 3 trucker jacket design debuted with 2 chest pockets, 2 hand warmer pockets, side adjuster buttons, and that is traditionally what is considered the trucker jacket when you just kind of visualize it. So obviously how that relates to the Hardline is we have 2 chest pockets. They are raised up to the actual kind of chest area. And then at the bottom, obviously we have 2 hand warmer pockets where it is just ergonomically easy to access. Some of the great features on the jacket, stuff that I use every single day just because it's great utility and form, is interior pockets sewn right into our cotton twill liner. Over the left side of the jacket, where the heart is, we have a tiny YKK zipper slider on a pretty large interior pocket, and on the other side, we just have an open face style interior pocket as well. These pockets are more traditional to our lineup rather than what we did with the jackknife, which was a concealed kind of pocket style. Again, these ones sew horizontally right into the liner itself. And obviously, it wouldn't be a Master Supply Co. trucker jacket without our signature chest pocket Western embroidery feature. And the 2 chest pockets are obviously totally functional with a button-down closure on each. And finally, to summarize and wrap up this review video, we are going to talk about the main thing that makes the Hardline special and different from everything on our lineup is the leather. This leather has been something we've been working on for quite a while now. The Hardline is a great debut of our first ever option in a full vegetable tan style leather, and it's even a teacore leather. I'm going to talk about what veg tan leather is and what teacore leather is. So the long story short on what a veg tan leather is and why it's different is as follows. Veg tan leather has been around for thousands and thousands of years. They amazingly found a way, using natural ingredients like tree barks and certain herbs and oils, they found a way to pause the aging and decaying factor when dealing with skin, you know, leather and hide. So veg tan leather has been around for a hot minute. Even though veg tan leather is a process that's been around for a super long time, veg tan leather today, nowadays, more contemporarily, only takes up roughly 10% of all leather being produced. A very popular alternative to veg tan leather is chrome tanning, utilizing more modern synthetic tannins. Whereas with a veg tan leather like this right here, it takes roughly 28 times longer to process and finalize. Whereas with chrome tanning, it takes roughly 24 hours. So with a vegetable tanned leather like this, what does that mean? And in short, it means this. It's going to age super well. In this case, because it's a teacore leather, I'll get into that in a bit. In this case, because it's a teacore leather, you're going to develop a nice patina over time. You know, when you're thinking about like jackets from the 1940s and 50s, seeing those things today, the reason why they're still intact is because the leather was made to last. And the leather that they used back then was veg tanned cowhides or horse hides or anything of that sort. So with this veg tan cowhide, it's gonna break in super nice. And that whole process is super rewarding when you have your own leather jacket that you put the hours in, you put the time in to wear and break in and sweat in. And again, it becomes armor and it becomes second skin. And that whole process is super rewarding. Now let's talk about the teacore aspect. What is teacore leather and why is it called teacore leather? And in short, it's pretty simple actually. If you break down the two words, the core of the leather looks like tea. So that is generally where the origins come from, but ultimately this is the swatch here that we use for the Hardline. On one side, we have the nice glossy black exterior, whereas on the other side, we have this nice almost kind of burnt camel tan underlayer. And this process is generally the effect of what teacore leather is because you're dealing with two layers. Layer number one is the base leather, and then the top layer, in this case, it is a kind of glossier black. You can see teacore with a glossy brown or even some other kind of pigmented and dyed colors, but usually it's black. But yeah, let me quickly demonstrate what happens to a teacore leather in points and places of friction and abrasion. This isn't going to happen to the entire jacket, only in places like arms, elbows, button kind of eyelet holes, the back, anywhere where the jacket is experiencing friction, it will give you this effect, and I'll show you. I'm going to just use my knife and kind of shed and rub away the outer layer, removing the glossy black and revealing the true undertone of the leather. In short, this is what teacore is. It's called teacore because it's somewhat reminiscent of a cup of tea in color, so to speak. And this is stuff that you will experience years down the line while wearing leather just like this. And all of that is totally normal and totally part of the process and totally celebrated. For some, it's kind of like a badge of commitment to wearing a jacket because you really truly, in times, don't get these fades in a matter of weeks or minutes or months. It takes years. So I guess we'll have to check back in about 5 years' time to see how this jacket has aged throughout the entire process. Now we arrive at the summary of the Hardline. In short, this jacket is super special, again, because of the leather and because of the way the leather is going to react years down the line. But it's also special because of the design notes that we've referenced throughout the years and the history of, just even trucker leather jackets. There's dozens of styles of leather jackets throughout history, but the trucker jacket is just, we just love these damn things. This jacket is perfect for somebody who wants that jacket to sit in their closet for generations and decades. And as I've said earlier in another video, this is that type of jacket that when you're gone, your kids, your grandkids are definitely gonna argue and fight each other to get this jacket. Because by then, as I've discussed with the teacore process, it's probably gonna look incredible. And with a jacket like this, it always retains that cool factor. I'm not making this up, I didn't write the rules, that's just the way it is. I've rambled on long enough. If you have any questions about the Hardline or anything in general, hit me up on the Instagram or shoot us an email. If you have any questions on sizing to get yourself into one of these bad boys, again, hit us up. But other than that, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your attention, and we hope we can keep your attention with this jacket on how it ages in real time. That being said, we'll catch you at the next one.